Hey coin collectors and history buffs, welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins and their incredible value. Today we're counting down the top 10 ultra rare wheat pennies in bad condition that are still worth a fortune. Stick around because you'll want to check your pocket change after this. 1924 wheat penny. The wheat penny, officially known as the Lincoln cent, was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person on the obverse or front side. On the back, we have the iconic wheat stalks, giving it the name wheat penny. But what makes the 1924 wheat penny particularly interesting is its historical context. It was minted during a post-war period known as the Roaring Twenties, a time of economic prosperity and significant social change in America. While the penny itself was mass-produced, the passage of time and varying mint conditions make it a fascinating find for collectors today. So what exactly should you be looking for in a 1924 wheat penny? Let's break it down. Obverse front, you'll see Lincoln's profile, but in bad condition, it might be faded. The date 1924 could be barely visible. Reverse back, the wheat stalks may be worn down, with the words 1 cent in United States of America losing their sharpness. Over time, the coin may have been exposed to wear, corrosion, or environmental damage, making its details fade. But just because it's in bad condition doesn't mean it's worthless. When evaluating the value of a coin, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state. In bad condition, your 1924 wheat penny will fall in the lower end of the spectrum, likely graded as good G4 or lower. A 1924 wheat penny in bad condition typically ranges from 3 to 10 cents. Yep, even in poor condition, it's usually worth more than face value. But why? Because it's almost 100 years old and it's still a piece of history. However, don't expect it to make you rich unless you find one in better shape or with a rare error. Speaking of errors, if you have a 1924 wheat penny with an error, things could get interesting. For example, look for die cracks, off-center strikes, or double dies, which can increase the coin's value significantly. And don't forget to check for mint marks. Most 1924 pennies were minted in Philadelphia, so they don't have a mint mark. But if you come across one with a D mark from Denver, that can affect its rarity and value slightly. Even in bad condition, an error coin or a Denver mint could raise the price to a few dollars. To wrap things up, while a 1924 wheat penny in bad condition won't make you a fortune, it's still a little piece of American history. Even at just a few cents in value, it's always worth holding on to these treasures from the past. Who knows, you might even find a rare error or mint mark that increases its worth. 1905 bad penny? Now, before we dive into the specifics of this coin, you might be wondering, wait a second, didn't the Lincoln wheat penny series start in 1909? Yes, you're absolutely right. In 1905, the U.S. Mint was still producing Indian head cents. The Lincoln wheat penny wouldn't appear until 1909, which marked Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. So in 1905, the Indian head cent was still the penny in circulation. Designed by James B. Longaker in 1859, the obverse features Lady Liberty wearing a Native American headdress representing freedom and unity. On the reverse, the simple 1 cent design is surrounded by a laurel wreath symbolizing peace. When we talk about bad condition coins, we're often referring to those in the lower end of the coin grading scale. The coin you see here is likely considered poor or about good at, where most of the details have worn down from years of circulation. But don't be discouraged. Even though this 1905 penny has lost much of its original design, it's still a valuable piece of history. Now let's get to the part you're all waiting for, the value. A 1905 Indian head penny in good to very fine condition can range between $3 and $15 depending on its grade. However, in bad condition like the one we're showcasing today, its value decreases significantly. Coins in this shape might fetch anywhere from 50 cents to $2. But remember, a coin's value isn't just about money. Even in this condition, the penny holds historical significance, reminding us of America at the turn of the century. In 1905, the United States was rapidly changing. The Industrial Revolution was in full swing, and the country was transitioning from an agricultural economy to an industrial powerhouse. President Theodore Roosevelt was leading reforms, and the population was booming due to immigration. Coins like this 1905 penny circulated in the pockets of Americans living through these changes. Just a few years after this penny was minted, the U.S. Mint made the monumental decision to switch to the Lincoln wheat penny in 1909. The design featuring Abraham Lincoln was the first U.S. coin to bear the likeness of a real person, and it would go on to become one of the most iconic coins in American history. 1918 bad penny. The 1918 Lincoln wheat penny holds a unique place in American history. Minted during a time of significant change, this coin came out just after the U.S. had entered World War I. The penny features the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, making it one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. history. On the reverse, we see the wheat ears representing agriculture, which was essential for the country's economy back then. But not every penny has aged gracefully. Many 1918 Lincoln pennies you'll come across today are in bad condition, scratched, worn down, or even corroded. However, even a penny in poor shape can still hold historical and monetary value. Now let's break down the details of this penny. The front, or obverse, features Lincoln's bust, and under it you'll see the date 1918 on the back. The wheat ears frame the words 1 cent, and beneath, the motto E pluribus unum. There are 3 main mint marks to watch out for. No mint mark, which indicates it was minted in Philadelphia, S for San Francisco, and D for Denver. Even in bad condition, the mint mark can impact its value. So what's the value of a 1918 Lincoln wheat penny in bad condition? Well, coin value depends on multiple factors like rarity, demand, and of course condition. A heavily worn 1918 penny with no mint mark might only fetch around 10 to 50 cents. But if you have one from the San Francisco or Denver Mint, even in bad shape, it can go for around $1 to $2. But wait, that's not all. Sometimes pennies in poor condition can still be worth more than expected. If a coin has certain errors like doubling on the date or mint mark, the value can skyrocket even in bad condition. Error coins are highly collectible and sought after by many collectors. Coin grading plays a crucial role in determining value. A 1918 penny in good or fair condition, which is heavily worn, will be at the lower end of the value scale. But if your penny is graded fine or higher, meaning it has retained some details, its value can increase. Always remember, grading is subjective, so getting a professional opinion can be worth it. 1907 bad wheat penny. Before we talk about the specifics of this 1907 penny, let's clear up some history. The Lincoln wheat penny as we know it was first introduced in 1909, not 1907. The earlier coins produced in 1907 were actually Indian head pennies. Now, if you have a coin with a 1907 date that looks like a Lincoln wheat penny, you're likely holding a counterfeit or an altered coin. But why would someone go through the trouble to fake a penny, especially one in bad condition? Back in the early 1900s, coin alterations were not uncommon. People would file or sand off parts of the date or mint mark to either mislead collectors or simply as a curiosity. Altered coins like this can pop up occasionally in collections or as old family heirlooms. While these altered 1907 Lincoln wheat pennies aren't genuine, they do have some historical significance as they reflect the lengths people would go to make a buck. However, being in bad condition can significantly lower the coin's value. So how much is a bad condition altered 1907 Lincoln wheat penny worth today? Not much, unfortunately. Authenticity is the first factor in determining a coin's value, and since this particular coin would be considered altered or counterfeit, collectors won't place much importance on it. At best, a collector might pay a small amount, anywhere from $1 to $10 for the novelty of the coin. It might be interesting for a beginner or someone who enjoys quirky pieces of numismatic history. If you happen to have a genuine 1907 Indian head penny, now that's a different story. These can be worth more depending on their condition and mint mark. A worn 1907 Indian head penny might fetch $1 to $5, while coins in better condition can be valued anywhere from $20 to $40 or even more in pristine condition. Grading plays a huge role in determining the value. Factors like wear and tear, visible details, and even the presence of errors can increase its worth. So always get your coins checked by a professional grader. Now, if you're new to coin collecting or come across a 1907 Lincoln wheat penny in poor condition, here are some tips to keep in mind. Authenticate the coin. Always make sure your coin is real and not altered. Seek expert advice if you're unsure. Check the condition. Coins in bad condition, like being heavily worn or scratched, generally have lower value, but rare features can still make them interesting. Look for errors. Coins with misprints, double dies, or off-centering can have increased value even in poor condition. 1935 bad wheat penny. First, let's take a quick trip back to 1935. The United States was still feeling the effects of the Great Depression, and Franklin D. Roosevelt was working to bring the nation back on its feet. The wheat penny, first minted in 1909, was a common sight in people's pockets during this time. The 1935 wheat penny is part of that legacy. The wheat penny gets its name from the wheat stalks on the reverse, symbolizing America's agricultural roots. On the front, of course, is the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln. This design was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, making it even more significant. In 1935, over 245 million pennies were minted at the Philadelphia Mint alone, with no mint mark on the coin. Denver and San Francisco also contributed to the total mintage, producing around 47 million and 38 million pennies, respectively. Remember, coins minted in Denver have a D mint mark, while those from San Francisco have an S. However, most 1935 wheat pennies you'll come across will be from Philadelphia, which, as we mentioned, has no mint mark. Now, let's get to the big question. What's a 1935 wheat penny worth if it's in bad condition? A penny in pristine condition could fetch a higher price, but even worn-down examples can have value. In circulated condition, where the coin has significant wear, its value usually ranges from about 5 to 20 cents. That might not seem like much, but for a penny that's nearly 90 years old, it's still worth more than face value. However, factors like rare mint errors or specific die varieties could increase the price significantly. When it comes to bad condition pennies, things like deep scratches, corrosion, or missing details can bring the value down. However, factors such as rarity, mint marks, and possible errors can still make the coin collectible. Some errors like double dies or off-center strikes can increase the value of even a worn coin, so it's always a good idea to examine your penny closely. If you're thinking of selling your 1935 wheat penny, coin dealers or online platforms like eBay or Etsy are your best options. Just remember, a coin in bad condition is typically sold in bulk or as part of a lot with other low-grade coins. Before you sell, it's worth getting your penny appraised or at least checking the current market prices online to ensure you get a fair deal. 1958 bad penny. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, designed by Victor David Brenner, was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. This marked the first time a U.S. coin featured a real person's image. The obverse or front features Lincoln's portrait, while the reverse shows two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent in United States of America. The wheat design was used from 1909 until 1958, making the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny the final year of this iconic design before it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. So you found a 1958 wheat penny, but it's in pretty rough shape. The question is, what's it worth? Well, let's talk about the key factors that determine its value. Coins are graded based on their condition, from poor P1 to mint state MS70. If your 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny is heavily worn, maybe it's scratched, corroded, or missing fine details, it likely falls in the good or fair category on the scale. Unfortunately, bad condition pennies often have very little value, typically ranging from 3 to 5 cents. However, even in poor condition, these coins still hold historical value, especially being the last year of the wheat penny series. If you have a roll of them or multiple in circulation, they might fetch a little more in bulk. Even if your 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny isn't in great condition, there are still a few things you should check that could increase its value. Here's what to look for. The 1958 penny was struck at two different mints, Philadelphia no mint mark and Denver marked with a D. Generally, pennies from Philadelphia are more common, while Denver minted pennies might be worth a little more, even in bad condition. Errors and varieties. Look for any unusual mint errors like double dies or repunched mint marks. A rare error could significantly increase the value, even if the coin is in poor shape. Some collectors specialize in lowball coins or coins in the worst possible condition. If yours fits that description, it could still find a buyer. The 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny represents the end of an era in American coinage. For almost 50 years, this design was a symbol of the country's agricultural roots and a tribute to Abraham Lincoln's legacy. The switch to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959 marked a new chapter, but for collectors, the wheat penny holds a nostalgic value. These pennies were in circulation during significant events like the post-war economic boom and the start of the space race. So even if your 1958 penny isn't in the best condition, it's still a piece of American history. 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, also known as the Wheatie, was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by sculptor Victor D. Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's face. The wheat ears on the reverse symbolized prosperity and were used until 1958. After that, they were replaced with the Lincoln Memorial design. But today, we're specifically focusing on the 1951 edition, a fairly common year but still an important piece of U.S. coinage history. In 1951, the Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint produced millions of these pennies, but the mint mark can play a big role in determining a coin's value. Let's break down the mintage numbers for each mint. Philadelphia no mint mark, 284,576,000 minted. Denver D mint mark, 625,355,000 minted. San Francisco S mint mark, 136,010,000 minted. So, as you can see, the 1951 Denver penny had the highest mintage, followed by Philadelphia and then San Francisco, which produced the fewest. But what does that mean for the value? Let's talk about that next. The value of a 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny largely depends on its condition, or what collectors call the grade. Coins that are heavily circulated are worth much less than coins that are in pristine, uncirculated condition. For circulated coins, the ones that have seen some wear and tear, you're looking at a value of about 3 to 10 cents. These are pennies that have been in pocket change, handled, and have lost some of their original shine. But if your penny is in mint state, meaning it hasn't been circulated and still has its original luster, the value can go up. Uncirculated examples can range from $1 to $15 or more, depending on the grade. And if you're lucky enough to have a penny graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, especially one in high mint state, you could be looking at values upward of $20 to $100. The higher the grade, the more it's worth. Collectors love pristine examples. Now, keep in mind that mint marks can affect the value too. For example, a 1951 penny in higher grades tends to be more desirable because of the lower mintage from San Francisco. One thing that can significantly increase the value of a 1951 penny is if it has an error or variety. Some of the errors you might find include double die strikes, repunched mint marks, or off-center strikes. These rare variations can make your penny worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. 1906 bad condition wheat penny. The Lincoln wheat penny is one of the most iconic coins in American history, but here's the kicker: the Lincoln wheat penny wasn't actually minted until 1909. That's right. If you're holding a penny from 1906, it's not a Lincoln penny at all. Instead, you're looking at a 1906 Indian head penny, which was in circulation before the Lincoln series began. So, while the 1906 Lincoln penny doesn't exist, the Indian head penny minted in that year is what collectors are usually referring to when they mistakenly think of Lincoln pennies from 1906. Now, let's talk about the design of this penny. On the obverse side, you'll see Lady Liberty donning a Native American headdress, hence the name Indian head penny. On the reverse, there's a simple wreath surrounding the 1-cent denomination. This design, created by James Barton Longaker, was minted from 1859 to 1909, right before the Lincoln penny replaced it. The year 1906 saw a high production of Indian head pennies. The U.S. Mint produced over 96 million pennies that year, with coins minted in Philadelphia. That makes 1906 a relatively common year for Indian head pennies. But keep in mind, rarity isn't the only factor that determines a coin's value. Condition plays a big role as well. If you have a 1906 Indian head penny in bad condition, you might be wondering what it's worth. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state for a penny in poor condition, where the details of Lady Liberty's face and the headdress are barely visible. The value tends to be on the lower end. A 1906 Indian head penny in poor condition might be worth anywhere between $1 to $3. If it's in slightly better condition, say good grade, the value can increase up to $10 or $20. The real value for this coin comes in high grades or if it has any rare minting errors, which could boost its price significantly. When identifying the condition of your 1906 penny, there are a few things to look for. Wear on Lady Liberty's face and feathers. If the features are smooth and hard to distinguish, your coin is likely in poor condition. The clarity of the wreath and 1-cent text on the reverse, a lot of wear here could reduce its value. Overall discoloration, while tarnishing is normal, severe corrosion can also affect the price. If you want to keep your 1906 Indian head penny in the best condition possible, store it in a protective case and avoid touching it with your bare hands. The oils from your skin can cause further deterioration. 1944 bad condition wheat penny. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's talk about the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny. This coin was minted during a pivotal time in American history, right in the middle of World War II. In 1944, the United States was heavily involved in World War II. The government needed copper for ammunition and other war materials, so the U.S. Mint used zinc-coated steel for the pennies instead of the usual copper. This steel penny, known as the 1943 steel wheat penny, was actually the penny of that year, but in 1944, they returned to using copper. The 1944 Lincoln penny, made from copper, is part of the Lincoln Wheat series, which ran from 1909 to 1958. The coin features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse. It's a simple yet iconic design that has captured the hearts of collectors for decades. Now let's focus on the 1944 Lincoln penny in poor condition. Coins like these might have seen a lot of wear and tear over the years. You might notice significant scratches, fading, or even some corrosion. But even in less than perfect shape, there's still value here. The condition of a coin is graded on a scale from poor P1 to mint state MS70. A 1944 Lincoln penny in poor condition will typically be graded as good G4 or fair F12. These coins can be quite affordable, with values ranging from a few cents to a couple of dollars depending on the level of wear and any other factors. Despite their condition, 1944 Lincoln pennies are collectible for several reasons. For one, they are part of a historical series that spans nearly half a century. Additionally, even in bad shape, they are still considered a piece of American history. Comparatively, a well-preserved 1944 Lincoln penny can fetch a higher price, especially if it's in uncirculated or mint state condition. Rare varieties and errors can also affect the value, but for most collectors, the appeal lies in owning a piece of history, even if it's a bit worn. So whether you have a 1944 Lincoln penny that's seen better days or one that's still in pretty good shape, you've got a fascinating piece of American history on your hands. It's incredible to think about the stories each coin could tell if it could talk. 1945 wheat penny. The 1945 Lincoln wheat penny was minted at a time of great historical significance. The end of World War II was just around the corner, and the country was transitioning from wartime to peacetime. This context adds a layer of intrigue to the coin story. First, let's talk about the design. The 1945 Lincoln penny features the iconic wheat ears on the reverse side, which was designed by Victor David Brenner. This design was used from 1909 to 1958, making it a staple of American coinage. Now let's discuss the coin's value. The value of a 1945 Lincoln penny can vary greatly depending on its condition. Here's a quick breakdown. Good G4 in this grade, the coin will have noticeable wear and details will be less defined. These can be worth around 10 to 20 cents. Very fine VF20, this grade shows a bit more detail with only slight wear on high points. These pennies can fetch between $1 to $3. Uncirculated Mississippi 60 to MS 65 coins in this condition show no signs of wear and have excellent detail. Uncirculated 1945 pennies can range from $5 to $15 or more, depending on their specific grade and any unique characteristics. One of the exciting aspects of the 1945 penny is its potential for rare varieties and errors. For example, there are some rare errors like the 1945 Micro S variety, which can be worth a significant amount more. Keep an eye out for these as you build your collection. Collectors love the 1945 Lincoln penny, not just for its historical context, but also for its role in American numismatic history. It's a tangible piece of post-war optimism and economic recovery. So whether you're looking to add a 1945 Lincoln penny to your collection or just learning about it, I hope this video has given you valuable insights. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more coin content and history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video where we explore more about the world of coin collecting.